Every summer, clubs spend hundreds of millions chasing the same 5 names, bidding wars, hijacks, agents on yachts, and while all that noise is happening, genuinely elite footballers, World Cup stars, Champions League winners, proven Premier League performers are sitting right there on the market, available, affordable, and completely ignored. Today we're shining a light on 10 players being slept on in this transfer window, players any smart sporting director should be running towards. By the end of this video, you'll be asking the same question I am. What exactly are these clubs waiting for? Let's get into it. Football fans, this is the deal you don't want to miss. Whether you're hunting for an iconic World Cup jersey or the colours of your favourite club, Goal90 Shop has the perfect pick for you. And right now, everything is a flat 15% off, with free shipping anywhere in the world. So don't wait. Hit the link in the description, head over to Goal90 Shop and grab your favourite jersey today. We have to start with the most ridiculous one. A 2-time Champions League winner, aged 24, is on the market and barely anyone is moving. Say hello to Eduardo Camavinga. Think about what this man had achieved before his 24th birthday. Signed by Real Madrid from Rennes as a teenager for around 31 million euros after half of Europe chased him. More than 200 appearances for the biggest club in the world, 2 Champions Leagues, multiple league titles. Yes, last season was a nightmare. Ankle injuries, a dental infection, a red card against Bayern that reportedly left him in tears, just 12 starts in Madrid's first 21 league games, and the brutal snub from France's World Cup squad. And now, Madrid will listen to offers around 80 million euros. But here's the thing, guys. Injuries heal, pedigree doesn't disappear. Only Chelsea are seriously moving, while the rest of Europe watches a generational midfielder, a man who was winning Champions Leagues at an age when most players are fighting for a debut, sit there priced below this summer's going rate for potential. Matheus Fernandes cost more, let that sink in. And if that's not mad enough, there are actual free agents being ignored too, like Dusan Vlahovic. Remember how he announced himself? 20 goals in 24 games in half a season at Fiorentina, the burst that convinced Juventus to pay 80 million euros for him. He repaid them with 68 goals and double figures in every single full season in Turin, nearly all off that wand of a left foot. 12 goals last year, even with an injury-hit campaign of just 26 games. And today, he costs 0. Yes, his wage demands are hefty. He was Serie A's highest earner. But for a club needing guaranteed goals, a 26-year-old proven scorer on a free transfer is the kind of maths that shouldn't take this long. Barcelona have considered him for the Lewandowski gap. Everyone else? Asleep. Completing the free agent duo, Jadon Sancho. Laugh all you want, but the talent never left. At Dortmund, only Lionel Messi was involved in more league goals from ball carries over his 3 big seasons. And don't forget, he played in a Champions League final for them as recently as 2024. He's still just 26. He won European silverware in back-to-back seasons, scoring in Chelsea's Conference League final win, then lifting the Europa League with Villa. And here's the proof it was never about ability. Chelsea paid a £5 million penalty to escape an obligation to buy him, purely over wages. For any club that can negotiate a sensible salary, there's a £100 million talent sitting there for free in his prime years with a point to prove. That's the definition of slept on. Now to the bargain bin at Anfield, Federico Chiesa. This is a Euro 2020 champion, the man who dragged Italy to that trophy, and Liverpool have literally told him to find a new club. 1 league start last season, 281 minutes. But rewind. When fit, Chiesa is a match winner of the highest order. Liverpool only paid a fee rising to £12.5 million for him, and he's even willing to take a pay cut on his £150,000 a week wages to get regular football, with a return to Italy his preference. He'd cost buttons. For a mid-table side in Italy, Spain or England, this is a free hit on a player with genuine big game pedigree. Where is everyone? Speaking of proven winners priced to sell, Marcus Rashford. Forget the noise for a second and look at what just happened. 14 goals and 14 assists in 49 games for Barcelona as they won La Liga. That's not a struggling player, that's a player who just delivered at one of the biggest clubs on earth. United's asking price, around £40 million, peanuts in a market where Matheus Fernandes cost 85. The wages are the catch, sure. 325,000 a week after his escalator kicked in, and that, not his football, is why Barcelona walked away from a 26 million option. But 400 appearances of Premier League experience, 28 years old, coming off a title-winning season, someone's getting a steal and everyone's too scared to take it, from attack to defense. And my favorite bargain on this list, Juan Paliña. 2 years ago, this man was so good, Bayern Munich paid 51 million euros for him after his tackle machine years at Fulham. Then Bayern barely used him, under 1,000 minutes in his first season, before Tottenham borrowed him, where his final day winner against Everton literally kept them in the Premier League. Now, Bayern's sporting director has publicly said he has no future at the club, and the asking price has been slashed to 25 million euros, half price. And here's the detail that tells you about the man. He reportedly turned down a lucrative Saudi offer because he still wants to compete at the top. Villa, Newcastle, Juventus and Milan are all monitoring. Somebody signed the man. The same goes for a warrior in Catalonia, Ronald Araujo, Barcelona's captain, a La Liga title winner who just made his 200th appearance for the club. Yes, last season was rough. The Chelsea red card, the criticism so heavy he stepped away from football for a month to protect his mental health before returning to fight for his place. And yes, Flick's suicidal highline exposed him, while Kubasi and Garcia got the nod. But strip out the system problem and you've still got one of the most athletic, aggressive one-on-one defenders in world football, a proven leader, still in his prime. And Barcelona need to sell him for the books. In a deeper defensive block, Araujo is a rock. The market is treating a flawed season in the wrong system as a verdict on the player. That's exactly how bargains happen. And Bayern have one more sleeping giant in stock, Kim Min-jae. Remember, this is the reigning Serie A Defender of the Year from Napoli's historic title season, the most expensive Asian player in history at 50 million euros, and a rock for 2 years in Munich. His only crime? Bayern bought Jonathan Tah, and now Kim is third choice. The club have opened the door on his 15 million a year package, and the only club that's bothered to knock is Al Nassr. And the man's attitude is spotless. He's publicly embraced being a challenger rather than sulking. A 29-year-old elite centre-back proven in 2 top leagues, available mid-prime, and Europe's big clubs are letting Saudi Arabia have a free run at him. Make it make sense. Now, the striker everyone watches and nobody buys, Randal Kolo Muani, a World Cup finalist with France who scored in the biggest game on earth, and a man whose 23 goals and 17 assists in his last Frankfurt season made him one of Europe's hottest strikers. When Juventus borrowed him, he produced 10 goal contributions in 19 games. The player is literally pushing to go back, and Juve's own CEO confirmed it. PSG want 40 to 45 million. And the result? Deadlock, while Villa, Palace, Dortmund, Spurs, United and Newcastle all monitor without making a move. A proven 27-year-old international striker, available for a mid-market fee, desperate to play, and half of Europe is standing in a circle staring at him. The one who blinks first wins. And finally, the wildcard nobody's talking about, Raúl Asensio. A Real Madrid Academy centre-back so highly rated, the club gave him a contract until 2031 with a €1 billion release clause. 1 season later, Konate arrives, Mourinho returns, and Madrid are open to a loan with an obligation to buy. Read that again. A 23-year-old defender Real Madrid valued at €1 billion is available on a loan to buy, and the market's shrugging. Clubs just paid 50 million for a teenage defender in Vuskovic, yet a Bernabeu-schooled one is sitting there for a fraction of the risk. The best deals are the ones nobody's queuing for. So there you have it. 10 players being slept on, 2 of them completely free, the rest available for fees that look silly next to this summer's 100 million circus. And that's the lesson, guys. Transfer windows aren't won by the clubs that shout the loudest. They're won by the ones who spot value while everyone else chases headlines. Every name on this list has a flaw: wages, injuries, a bad season, an agent. But every one of them also has a ceiling the market is choosing to ignore. Honourable mentions obviously go to Victor Osimhen, whose situation is pretty clear for all to see. He might never get the move, but a part of us still believes that any elite club that signs him with win it all next season. So tell me, which of these players would you sign tomorrow? And who's the biggest steal on this list? Drop it in the comments, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Catch you in the next one.